It's Tuesday News Day. I'm Adventure Argonaut and welcome to Golden News. I will discuss current issues and news and things like that. And first, let's see that all the streams are up. Are they all working? I think they are. So let's get to the news then. All right. So the first story is Indians coming to Finland allegedly. Although the first story is actually a bit of a question mark, but let's have a look. And I'm Finnish, and this is the first story about Finland I made, so I'm making history or something, because not much is happening there, or maybe there is, but I haven't heard about it. Anyways, so here is supposedly news from RT's Russia Today's um, Twitter. Finnish Interior Minister Mari Rantanen announces the Finnish government's intentions to begin programs to attract workers from India. We have space for at least 300,000 Indians in the cities. If the program is successful, we could see expansion even to rural Finland. However, the problem is I didn't find this on the RT Twitter page or whatever. So I'm not sure if they removed the news, that maybe it was fake news or something, or what's going on, or maybe I just didn't see it, and also tried to find other outlets reporting on this, but I didn't find that. However, I did find something. What's this? Finland falling behind in attracting foreign workers from Asia. This is just from yesterday, this article. So yeah, here it says Finland is not attracting foreign workers like other competitive countries, according to Finnish media Yle News, who has interviewed multiple immigration researchers and blah blah blah. Finland primarily targets international recruitment from its partner countries India, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Brazil, which together make up a quarter of all work-based permit applicants. And so on. And yeah, many Filipinos are already working in healthcare sector, but it's like, why India? I haven't seen many Indians in Finland. Like, I don't live in Finland currently, but spent most of my life there. Mm. It will soon become evident that Japan and China, which have never taken in many immigrants, are competing for the same Vietnamese and Filipino caregivers. Nothing personal against Vietnamese or Filipinos, but it's like, well, why are they like, it makes it sounds like they're worth their weight in gold. It's a bit strange, if you ask me. And this article is from, couple of months ago or a month ago. In 2023, the Finnish government launched Talent Boost, a 5-year program for the active recruitment and hiring of workers from EU, EEA states and 4 target countries: India, Brazil, Vietnam, Philippines. So local Finnish public service broadcaster Yle reported on Wednesday, blah blah blah, the group of Filipinos working in retail establishment in Lapland is an indication of what the country's labor force will increasingly look like: young and foreign. Yay. The employment of the Filipino nationals was brokered through a deal between an employer agency Barona and local retailer Arena. I've heard of Barona. I haven't worked for them, but let's see if there's any other mention of India here. I guess no. Yeah, so targeting. So I guess, this, just to get back to this, so it doesn't seem to be like completely made up story. There seem to be some truth about it. And then I happened to find this article from last year. Where was the yeah, well, somewhere it said it was from last year, but now I don't see the date or anything. But yeah, just trust me on it. It's from last year. So the Finland's new interior minister promises policy U-turn on immigration. So we will tighten all the conditions to come to Finland, to stay here and to be in Finland. Mari Rantanen of the Finns party, or the True Finns. They used to be called the True Finns, and still are like internationalists, perussuomalaiset, but it's so if this thing is true, this thing doesn't seem to be true. But anyways, that's just, I wanted to do some story about Finland since I saw it, and I don't know, just do we really need bunch of Indians and so on in Finland? Like I don't think that's the biggest problem. The lack of Indians in Finland is not the biggest problem in the country. Let us move on to the next story. And then, yes, Twitter is banned in Brazil apparently. And so, yeah, it's some judge who wanted to ban it, and apparently, I think it happened like yesterday or today or something. And I think you can still access if you use a VPN, you can access Twitter there, but it's they will fine you if they find out, I believe, which is sucks. Um, but yeah, here this is the guy who really looks like some Star Wars villain, or more like a LARPer cosplay of some Star Wars villain. But yeah, it says here that 146 deputies signed the impeachment request for Alexandre de Moraes, this guy. So I do hope he gets impeached, and Brazilians are able to use Twitter again. It's not like it's not like Twitter is the last bastion of free speech. It has its issues, but you know it still should be available there. And there's like this Actman. I don't really know who he is. I think he's some sort of YouTuber. Yeah, YT probably means YouTube, or maybe it means he's a white man. I don't know. So farewell to the people of Brazil. We will miss you. Elon has nosedived this side to the fucking gutter. It's not Elon Musk's fault that the government of Brazil, or the bureaucrats of Brazil, decided to ban Twitter. But I just wanted to comment on this attitude, because I like this is my example of it. But I'm pretty sure it's not the only person making having opinions like this, that or simply pro censorship opinions. You see them every day, on the far left of nowadays. I remember back in the day when the left used to be more free speech than the right, when I was young, but that was a different millennium. Yeah, different millennium, so whatever. um so because these people, they have a slave mentality. They are like, spiritually, mentally speaking, they are slaves, and their opinions are those of their masters. And they will be dedicated and loyal to their masters as long as there is the perception that their masters will protect them. And even though the masters will abuse them every now and then, but if they give them some handout, some a carrot now and then instead of simply the stick, they will be loyal to the masters. Only if they fear that the reign of the masters will be over, then they might reconsider their loyalties. And yeah, because these people are already, like, basically slaves. So why should they have any rights? Why should you respect anything they say? Like, you can just use it as an example of what kind of people some people are. And there's this quote, like, and I came to this, this slave mentality thing. Or particularly what this says, I came to the same conclusion. I will read it soon, but I want to explain. Like, I came to this same conclusion maybe like 10 years ago, when the mass immigration to Europe really started. So that's when I sort of realized the same thing as this person who wrote this post on some basket weaving forum said. But anyways, I'll read it. People who can't defend themselves physically, women and low T men, low testosterone, parse information through a consensus filter as a safety mechanism. They literally do not ask, is this true? They ask, will others be okay with me thinking this is true? This makes them very malleable to brute force manufactured consensus. If every screen they look at says the same thing, they will adapt that position because their brain interprets it as everyone in the tribe believing it. Only high T alpha males and unneurotypical people, hey autists, are actually free to parse new information with an objective is this true filter. This is why a republic of high status males is the best for decision making. Democratic with a democracy only for those who are free to think. Well, I'm not gonna uh, make a statement on whether a republic is the best alternative or anything like that, but the other stuff is spot on. This is true as far as I have noticed observing human nature. Was this? Yeah. Okay. So this is just yeah, about Twitter. So maybe we will see Brazil reverse decision on this ban in a week or month or two or whenever. Hopefully so, and we can get our Twitter friends back. But time will tell what happens in Brazil. Let's move on to the next story. So don't call this politician. Don't call her fat. A politician in Germany, and I didn't mean to make the image here look like Angela Merkel. It was the AI that chose to make her look like Angela Merkel. But anyway, some other politician in Germany who was called fat online, and then the authorities are looking for the person who called the fat politician fat online. So yeah, I think it was on Gab. Yes, Gab. It's a Twitter alternative by Andrew Torba. This guy, based Torba. So Germany started criminal investigation into social media user for mocking politician for being fat. I know how to speak. Torba called Germany's request one of the more ridiculous foreign data requests that Gab received. They wanted us to dox a user for calling a female politician fat. Gab's official response was to inform the German government they should get bent, the CEO Andrew Torba told Fox News Digital. Yes, well done. Yeah, so Germany started criminal investigation into social media user for mocking a politician for being fat. And according to German authorities, the penalty could be up to 1 year in prison or a fine. So I'm just wondering, like, Germany is a modern democracy. Like, isn't it like you are able to make statements, mock politicians? It's not like, it's the king or North Korea or whatever. Like, I thought you were allowed to insult politicians, but apparently that's not the case. Yeah, one year in prison, and And you could say like, aha, but it's disinformation, that's why you are being punished. And of course, you should get punished for disinformation, of course. That's the consensus nowadays, like this thing suggests. So punishing for disinformation is good. Yes, yes, I agree completely, but I just want to show the picture. Is it her? Ricarda Lang. Okay, because this is archived, maybe I have to actually. Okay, I have to go to Fox News, the real site, to show the picture properly. Yeah, here. This woman is fat. That is an objective fact. A fat fact. Unless this is somehow edited, or she's wearing cushions or something, or, some makeup to make her look fat, but she is fat. How can you penalize somebody for, making a statement? Like, is it next like somebody says she's wearing a black dress? It's like, oh my god, you cannot say that. You will go to jail, you. Ah, yeah, jawohl. Is that what's gonna happen next? Okay, we are gonna breeze through these stories. There's more stories than usual here today, so let's move on. What's the next story? Oh, yes, more German stories. He's a lady, talking about that he's a lady. Because German court has ordered Hoss and Hopf podcast to delete an episode where the hosts referred to a balding trans-identified male by he/him pronouns. The hosts now face €250,000 fine or even jail time for misgendering Nicholas Lara Holstein. So this is Nicholas Laura Holstein. Just look at this beautiful woman. How could you mistake this for a man? This is the article. Yeah, so deleting a whole podcast. I wonder how long the podcast was. What other things were discussed during that podcast, and because they used the wrong pronoun. And yeah, the potential fine of that. I don't know how. I have no idea who these people are. Hoss and Hoff. Never heard of them before. Don't know how rich they are. But if you're a normal person, this is a lot of money. Like, unless they're millionaires or something. And just like, you could maybe you could make an argument that it's not nice to hurt somebody's feelings, but I don't think you should be punished by law, by the government, for hurting somebody's feelings. Like, you can get criticized for calling this beautiful woman a man. But yeah, this is just this is where we are in the West, even though I'm not in the West, but mentally the internet drags me to the West. Yeah, let's move on to the next story. Oh, this beautiful woman. Okay, so Judaism inspired Merkel to get more immigrants, supposedly. I found this article, and this is not news. This is actually an article from 2018, but I saw it on Twitter just a few days ago, and I was like, interesting. Jews admit Angela Merkel flooded Germany with migrants because of her commitment to Jews. And this is just an article, or part of an article from the Times of Israel, so it's not like I have no idea what this site is right of the right. It sounds like some far right stuff, but if they're just quoting Times of Israel, this should be acceptable. But I think it's easier to read here instead of here. That's why I'm gonna read the stuff here. So, as Angela Merkel's tenure as chancellor, well, yeah, she's not a chancellor anymore. That ended a long time ago. So anyway, her tenure of Chancellor of Germany is coming to an end. Jews are celebrating her Jewish legacy and commitment to Israel and the Jewish agenda. which included mass immigration. So Germany's chancellor has developed a very personal connection to the state of Israel and the Jewish people, becoming one of the rare German politicians who, when speaking about lessons learned from the past, really knows what she is talking about and really means it, said Beck, whose book Chancellor Merkel, Israel and the Jews was published in Hebrew last year by Yedioth Books. Not like so many other German politicians who repeat slogans they have learned to say. Yet it can be argued that Merkel, the politician, may have become a victim of her own humanitarian convictions, opening doors to more than a million people and showing the world a kinder, gentler Germany. Her announcement that she would step down from the chairmanship of the Christian Democratic Union, a role that generally guarantees the role of chancellor to the winning party, follows the erosion of the CDU's conservative voter base due to mounting frustration over Merkel's handling of the migrant refugee crisis. In 2015, saying, "We can manage it," she opened German borders. Ultimately, more than a million people came. Not all of them were legitimate refugees. Oh, it's interesting they admit that. Her decision has triggered fear and anger among many Germans, and some say contributed to the rise of far-right alternative for Germany, the Alternative für Deutschland, the first such party since 1945 to take seats in the national parliament. Merkel now has to pay the political price. Her final phase as chancellor could last as long as a couple of years until the next national election. Far from being a lame duck, she will still determine the tone and direction of her country. Merkel has stood up for Israel and the Jewish people with heart and soul, not just as a politician, but as a person. Knobloch, 86, 80, I guess that's the age, head of the Jewish community of Munich and Upper Bavaria, told JTA in a telephone interview. In 2008, when she was head of the Central Council of Jews in Germany, Knobloch accompanied Merkel to Israel, where the chancellor became the first foreign head of government to address the Knesset. So I guess that's quite an accomplishment. I think, Knesset is like the parliament in Israel, I believe. It was unforgettable, her fantastic statement about Germany's responsibility for Israel, Knobloch recalled. She called it part of Germany's raison d'etre, or national interest. What makes Merkel's engagement with Israel and Judaism so spectacular is that she is actually coming from East Germany, which was very hostile to Israel and never really took interest in Jews and what happened to them during the Holocaust, Beck said. She often told me that she heard almost nothing during her childhood about the persecution and murder of the Jews. This is why she was determined to stand up for the Jews, said Knobloch, who survived the Holocaust in hiding in Germany. Beck and others put Merkel's motivations in accepting refugees in that context. The author said Merkel felt that in light of the human tragedy in Syria and Iraq, Germany cannot sit and do nothing. So I guess this is like the crux of the argument because of historical matters regarding Jews and her sentiments toward Jews. That's why she accepted so many refugees. Very interesting. Merkel also hesitated to impose selections at the border due to the historical sense of the word with regard to the Holocaust, Beck said. So Germany became actually a victim of its incapacity to distinguish between past and present. So I just find it interesting that Germany is so devoted to Israel, quite like America. Like, of course, you can say that because of the H word that happened. This thing, that Holocaust, that in the 40s and stuff, that now they are paying their dues or whatever, but that's not the whole story. Like, of course, like there's the fact that also America seems very devoted to Israel, even though America helped rescue the Jews from the any suffering they endured in Germany or German controlled areas during the war. So it's interesting that both the loser and the winner, they have the same um, destiny, you could say. And then, of course, if you look at what's going on in Palestine, in Gaza nowadays, and some have compared it to the genocide themselves, and because Germany did um, they did play a part in the creation of Israel, because there was the Havara agreement. Uh, yeah, from starting from 1933 to 1939, there was a agreement between the by the Zionist Federation of Germany and the Anglo-Palestine Bank. So, and the economic authorities of Nazi Germany, they had this agreement. So it was a major factor in making possible the migration of approximately 60,000 German Jews to Palestine between 1933 and 1939. Like, this is something you don't learn at school. At least I didn't learn at school. I learned about this from the internet, the Havara Agreement. And it sounds like a Romulan warbird from Star Trek, but anyways. Mm, so before any Holocaust stuff, any concentration camps, they were already sending Jews there, and it seemed to be consensual. Um, this is this is something that's not usually emphasized in mainstream forces. This is usually ignored. This is quite I think it's a interesting perspective on the historical events. But if you look at Israel nowadays, and some people do compare, I have met some people who compare Israel's actions to what the Nazis were said to have done back in the day. So you could call the creation of Israel another Nazi war crime. But then again, and yeah, I'm gonna show. Yeah, there's this commemorative coin that was minted back in the day, celebrating this Havara agreement. It has the logo, the swastika, and the Star of David or Remfun or whatever it's called. But yeah, so it's not just like Germany is responsible for the creation of Israel. It's also Great Britain. The Balfour Declaration was issued already in 1917. Long, yeah, it was during the First World War, long before the mustache man got into power. So once again, it shows that both sides of the war um, were doing something to help the creation of the state of Israel. I just I really can't say like what are the all the implications of this fact, but that is an historical fact, and I think is interesting, and it probably does mean something, but I cannot verbalize it right here. Everything, all the different emanations that this historical events that how they affect reality, how they affect the world currently. But I do think it's interesting. Both Germany and UK, that were enemies during the war, they helped create the nation of Israel. Okay, let's move on to the next story. This was more of a history lesson, but I just it is still relevant because of Israel, Palestine, and Gaza. That is still very relevant nowadays. It very much affects um, not only the Middle East but the Western world. What happens there? such as we saw in the story even the acceptance of refugees into Europe is partially because of these historical events. But anyways, let's move to the next story. Which it is still related. So Israel wants to vaccinate Palestinians, and they will want to pause their fighting for a while to do that. It's so nice and helpful. Israel agrees to pause fighting in Gaza for polio vaccinations, says United Nations official. So yeah, because there's all sorts of fighting and stuff there. I'm actually not that well versed on what the situation currently is, but of course I know that since last October there has been all sorts of upheaval in the region, and I just think it's interesting that Israel is offering. They want to pause the fighting to bring polio vaccines to Palestine. And it's like didn't Israel before they shut off the water, electricity at some point? I think but they draw the line, and I even heard stories that some Israelis had raped some Palestinians, and they've been advocating for wiping them all out. But they're so nice that they want to give them vaccines. So I'm just gonna say, like, it doesn't matter whether you are pro-vaxxer, anti-vaxxer, whatever. Like if it was me, I would not let any of these particular vaccines near my body, because it's I just think it's a bit sus, the timing and all. But let's move on. Oh, have to show the cartoon first. I do think this AI generated image is quite cool. So immigrants take over a building in Colorado. Okay, I showed that. I can show this. So yeah, there's this video. No, not gonna go through the whole thing. Don't need audio. But yeah, this is in Colorado, United States, Aurora City, and supposedly Venezuelan immigrants are just taking over apartment building using guns or something. This was few days ago already, almost a week ago. So I don't know what's the update on it, but I just wanted to mention this piece of news because it reminds me of Sweden. Because there are some no-go zones, like yeah, no-go zones are there, and so on. So it's just sometimes I guess that I should say that limiting immigration to a certain degree, like having some control over the process. I think it's beneficial for the people, but of course the politicians might see differently. Maybe they will benefit from it. Yeah, but that's just this story. I just wanted to mention it because we still have few stories left here. So Vatican ditches Year of the Lord. This is sort of an uh, exaggeration, but it's not completely untrue. The way it was, it was just a cartoon image. Let's have a look. I think it's sort of funny. Like this guy there is of course supposed to be Jesus, and they don't care about Jesus nowadays as much as they used to back in the day. So yeah, new Vatican document uses BCE instead of BC. So this, I think, this is some speech of Pope Bergoglio, or whatever his Francis his name, the most pious pope in history, right? So yeah, it's just a couple of examples. 6th century BCE, 3rd century BCE, and this is of course before Common Era, and then it's Common Era. This new way of doing things, because originally it's of course is BC before Christ and AD Anno Domini, the year of the Lord. And you'd expect the Vatican to be the last one to, or like yeah, the last one to hold on to the old way of doing things, BC and AD, but apparently not. However, this is just an English translation, I believe, of these document, and not. I will discuss it later, but it's just personally like I can understand if people don't want uh, the religious connotations in describing what the year is. However, if the year is based on the birth of Jesus Christ, then it's sort of difficult to get away from that. So then you just have to start a whole new calendar, I believe. And also, what I really hate about it is calling it common era, because we are so common. It's like, what does it mean? Like, it was the year of the Lord, and now we are common. Like, they take away God from it. It's just disgusting. Like, call it based era or something if you don't want the religious connotations or whatever, but not common era. That's like the worst. Or totally lame and gay era. Maybe that would be better. So yeah, this is just the whole text. Let's just search. Yeah, it still says BC. They haven't updated it or anything. So yes, originally I guess the speech was probably held in Latin or Italian, who knows? But it's translated, and I do believe that the other translations, they don't use any. They use their old-fashioned way of. I don't know how is it in German, anyways. Okay, let's get back. Now I'm just curious. Okay, Epimedes. Yeah, we can try to search it by this name. Let's see how it is. Yeah, sixth year the Christ. I believe this is JH is Jahr, which is year, I believe, in German. So I guess it is like year of. I guess it's before Christ. And then maybe it's like actually before. May I guess this is not Jahr, it's something else. But yeah, I guess it's before Christ. This, yes, okay. Anyway, so for the other languages, I do believe is normal, and this might just be a mistake and not any other stuff. But it is still like if you are a translator working for the Vatican, you should really pay attention to details like that. Like if I was the whatever this guy's boss is, I would say you're fired. Like, come on, man. This is sort of silly, but also it is like I'm not, I'm an agnostic, I'm not a Christian, although I used to be an atheist long ago and especially despised Christianity back then, but now I am, let's say, moderately pro Christianity, because I remember an era when at least it was expected in polite society that everybody is a Christian. Like that was the assumption, but nowadays in the West, at least, it's mostly the assumption that everybody's an secular atheist or something, and it was definitely, things were better back then than now. So yes, it's whether or not it's the truth, the way, and the light, but it's certainly better than whatever it is we have now. But let's move on. And more religious themes, the Church of Sin in England. And I must say, I really do like this image, this AI generated image. I wanted it to generate the Church of Sin or something like that. Well, I did add the neon lights to it. I confess, like, something neon colors, neon lights, and Church of Sin, but it still looks pretty nice in my opinion. But I doubt this Church of Sin in England looks as nice. So let's get to this story. So yeah, Woke Church of England did it again. They cancelled Katie Hopkins' event, claiming they are objecting to this type of performance in a consecrated building. Actually, don't know who Katie Hopkins is and didn't want to bother to have a look. But yet they will host a drag queen event, literally called "It's a Sin, Glitter and Gore." Yeah, it's a Sin, Glitter and Gore. 80s themed disco licensed bar, drag queen host bar. So, and this is in a church. Yeah, St. Nicholas Chapel. And Sarkon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin did say something like, I'm not saying that, the Satan controls the Church of England, but if he did, would he do anything different? Something like that. I don't remember the. I do. I think it was well put. Like, I don't agree with the guy on many issues, but that was very well put. Mhm. And yeah, I'm from an era when this would have gotten many people angry. This sort of stuff, like it's not a great deal in the grand scheme of things. It's not a big deal, but it is a deal, you could say. Just like the BCE thing in the previous story, it's like they very much subtly, highlight the subtle differences of the values and the attitudes of people now compared to what it was just few decades ago. And I don't think it's going to a better direction. Yeah, here's Katie Hopkins. Okay, let's have a look. Who is she? Batship Bonkers Britain 2025 tour dates. Doesn't say who she. I don't want to click this, but so is she like a comedian or something? I don't know. I don't want to scroll too much Twitter. There might be some images or something that I shouldn't show on any streaming site. So let's just move on to the next story. But marvel at this, AA art. I think it is nice, because okay, I want to make one more statement about sin because back in my day they at least wanted to make sin look nice, like sin is bad. It's you're gonna go to hell and it's immoral and all that. But at least like it was enticing, intriguing, something that made you want to try it and stuff. But nowadays it's like um, like back in the day, a sin would be some beautiful woman tempting you to do stuff, but nowadays sin is more like let's go back, let's go back, let's go like something like this thing. It's like yeah, back in the day, sin it would have been a beautiful woman calling you to do all sorts of naughty things with her, but now they want you to be enticed by this thing in the picture. But let's go to the next story. Still one after this one, I believe. So 11-year-old arrested in UK. Yes, it's like okay, if he murdered somebody, sure he should be arrested, but let's have a look. An 11-year-old child has been arrested over disorder in Middlesbrough during the UK riots, police have said. They are thought to be the youngest person arrested over the disorder that followed the Southport stabbings. So yeah, child 11 arrested over Middlesbrough disorder, police say. Cleveland police said they have now arrested a total of 110 people in relation to unrest in Hartlepool and Middlesbrough earlier this month. So yeah, I think it was. I'm not sure if this was the stabbing in. Wasn't it in Wales where like 3 girls died or something and few others, or but I don't know. There's so many stabbings nowadays in UK, but it's they don't do anything to stop the stabbings. They just arrest people, and as far as I know, they haven't really said what this 11-year-old actually did. Like, was it something truly, if he did, I don't know, burn down a car or something? Sure, I can understand he was arrested, but I have my doubts. I have very little faith in the sanity or morality of the British police department or officers or any of that stuff. So it's just, yeah, it's disorder. It doesn't sound that bad. Like, it sounds like, back in my day, an 11-year-old was part of some disorder. The police might, detain him and bring him to his parents and then, have a stern talking to. That was how things was usually when I was young, but things are different nowadays. And I don't like things that are different. What's this? Okay, and then we can go to the last story. More from UK. Free Barry. So there's this great hero called Barry Stanton on Twitter, and he was suspended. Yeah, this guy. He was suspended, and he started a war, an internet Twitter war with India or something. I think like yesterday he was his, and yeah, so he started the war with India, and he was suspended. But yesterday, I think he was returned to Twitter for maybe an hour, and then he was suspended again. And now he's suspended. And I don't know all the beef between him and India. I just think it's funny, and I want him to be back. He died for our toilets. And there's this guy saying is an update. I don't know how reliable this is. This very, pixelated screenshot. Breaking. Barry Stanton breaking. I am now in touch with real humans at higher departments in X who are reviewing my account reinstatement. Things are looking good. Luckily, the Indians really admitted they took my account down through mass reporting, so once all the evidence is submitted, there is a high chance my account will be restored with mass flagging protection. I hope so. Um, because what did he do wrong? He's rude, impolite. That's as far as I know it is. Yeah, he's posting it on Telegram supposedly, and oh yeah, I should show the picture of. It's not his profile pic, but it's this picture. I've seen it before. Like I think maybe it was in the news before or something. This is somehow, even though I don't think this guy is Barry Stanton, but it's somehow associated with him, and it's I think it's just a funny picture. Um, but yeah, here it says that okay, let's look at this. So yeah, it's actually this is Mr. Addison is the picture I just showed you. So that's not actually Barry Stanton, and that's not his real name, I believe. So yeah, it says like Barry Stanton is supposedly using this 68-year-old grandfather's picture with the very fake-looking mustache added to it, and he's afraid that he will be arrest him over racist posts. Um, So yeah, I don't know if this guy is any kind of like why his picture is being used or not. And in that sense, I do feel bad for the guy if he gets in trouble with that somebody else does using his picture. However, it shouldn't. I think if somebody is to be punished, is somebody the people who attack this guy. whether they do it online or physically, or whether it's the police who punish him for somebody using his picture. Like, yeah, you know, people should be allowed to do silly and stupid stuff, and it's too bad that society is so dumbed down that um, you get in trouble for doing dumb stuff. And even though, like, yeah, sure, is you can misunderstand and stuff, but I think people should have the right to do stuff that people might misunderstand. Like, it shouldn't be a crime. Trolling shouldn't be a crime or anything. But yeah, I do have some sympathies for this guy if it's just some ordinary guy whose picture is being used for memeing purposes or something. But still. And anyway, so here is this article. Who is Barry Stanton, whose ex account has been suspended for racist post against Indians? Hate speech poisons our minds. The outcome of one small misinformation could lead to protest, discrimination, and inequality, even violence in extreme scenarios. Okay. In the latest development, X has suspended the account of an anonymous social media user, Barry Shanton. It's not anonymous, it's Barry Shanton. Wait, is it Barry Shanton? Stanton? Wasn't it Stanton, not Shanton? Yeah, here it says Stanton. Here it says Shanton. Come on, who wrote this article? According to News 18, this comes after hundreds of Indian users reported his account for his racist content against India. Here's all we know about him. Account suspended. Barry Stanton's ex account was suspended as he frequently shared derogatory cartoons and posts depicting Indians in a negative light. See, is that a crime, or should it be a crime? Like, I think you should have the right to be offensive, especially, like, okay, on the other hand, like, um let's start jailing people for being offensive, and just, as long as it's offensive, you're gonna get in trouble, because, if I'm offended by the Dust Bowl, what is it, the latest DI game, or some shitty AAA game, or Harry Potter, or Marvel movie, or whatever, then please, arrest the people behind them as well, because they might genuinely offend me. Like, yeah, that's it. Just be fair about it. It's the two-tier system that's bullshit. Like, if you're gonna have complete tyranny, just have equal tyranny. Why not? But yeah, this was the last story. So free Barry. Here it says Barry Staten, Barry Stanton, Staten, Shanton. What is this first post? Okay, I'm gonna have a look. Is this an Indian site, or what is this? First post. This is the worst article ever. Yeah, it looks like an Indian site. Come on, learn this proofread. Come on, man. But yeah, this is yeah, the last news story. So I don't know. Can I even summarize stuff? There's so many, like, random stuff in this news amalgamation. So yeah, the themes are India, Twitter bans, Germany, Israel, and of course UK. I cannot get rid of UK. Like, every single golden news, I have some dystopian story about UK. But Germany is pretty good up there too. Like, France, no France news this time. I guess because the Olympics are over, so nobody cares about France anymore. Um, but yeah, I haven't had any news about Spain. But yeah, maybe I'll just end with a nice anecdote because, like, Israel. I had some news about Israel, and they have the right to return, and they Israelis, they justify their occupation of Israel. The Israeli Jews based on the Bible, basically that back in the 2000 years ago, or whenever their ancestors supposedly lived in that area of land, so it's their holy land, and that justifies them living there. And of course there's like two caveats that I would point out. That first, you have to prove that you are the descendants of the people mentioned in the Bible, and then explain why exactly, if they truly are the descendants of those people, why does it justify them um, being allowed to live in that area of the world right now? Because, like, okay, if that's true, then how about the people who went to America on the Mayflower like 400 years ago? Are their descendants now justified to live in England if they were from England, or any immigrants from Germany or even Finland, anywhere in Europe? Do they have the right to return to Europe because their ancestors once upon a time lived somewhere? Or, like, or does it give Italians right to most of Europe? Or Italians have the right to England, since the Roman Empire once upon a time ruled England. Like, why does this apply to Israel and Israeli people? Why not? Why doesn't it apply to others? Just a question. But anyways, yeah, that's it with the goal about the golden news and Tuesday Newsday. So I'm Adventure Argonaut, and I thank you for listening to my rambling news podcast, whatever. So yeah, thank you for watching, and please follow me. Bye bye.